So I want to share now about how can I dare to dream again, and guilt being rational and irrational. I also want to talk about a few other things. We're going to see if we have time. So first of all, can I dare to dream again? I've written this a year ago. Healthy functioning body, limber and flexible. Even though I can't go back to the pre-injured body, I can become well again without pain or tension, flowing and adapting and being free with movement. Satisfaction and pleasure in new ways. Someone to live in the mystery with, who is good company, reassuring, affirms my faith, and makes me feel safe. Reclaiming the wonder through the balance between self-respect and innocence. Forgiving everyone, starting again, trusting it's possible to not judge and to find the sore spot in myself instead of seeing negative in others. So that's can I dare to dream again? And then I want to talk about guilt. So rational and irrational, guilt are something that sometimes we just need to say, okay, what do I feel guilty for? Before we could start to see, hey, maybe some of these guilts are irrational guilts. They're not guilts that make any sense. Guilt that I did something wrong, fine. I want to become a better person. But guilt just for something that, well, you'll see when I'm going to start to read these. Guilt for not working 9 to 5, earning a proper wage. For being unable to afford my entire rent. For eating too much for comfort instead of utilizing other skills for self-soothing. For lacking the discipline so for eating too much for comfort instead of utilizing other skills for self-soothing. Again, I wrote this last year. For lacking the discipline to exercise every day and do the hard work of maintaining motivation. For staying in shape, strong, fit, mobile. For not making time to go to the park, nature. For letting the living situation, which is familiar, be the norm, even though I feel unsafe, unloved, out of control, used, disrespected, and violated. For going to events for the food and to socialize when I don't really care for the cause or agree with the values or share the beliefs. For not cleaning for Shabbat each week and letting that be, I had a guest staying at my house, letting that be the guest's main household contribution. In general, somebody after they had been assaulted with a weapon with injuries that took some time to recover after leaving the hospital after some weeks over there. For being so sensitive, fragile, present, intense, affected, touched, and vulnerable. For wanting to rest for a few months or years and taking a break from this world. For being so forgiving and convincible, influenceable, to move on and not hold someone accountable, responsible for their choices, easily manipulated and swayed. Guilt that it's my fault my family doesn't accept me or include me or rejects me and excludes me. For wanting alone time to be not disturbed or interrupted or distracted or tempted. For taking as long as I need to decompress or express. For not wanting guidance, advice, evaluations without having asked for it or the projections. For holding grudges against people who have hurt me, physically, emotionally, spiritually, psychically, socially, reputationally. For not being able to pay back who gave to me and yet struggling to pay it forward. For wanting affection, pleasure, bliss, fun, joy. Guilt that sometimes I only want to speak and not write, and sometimes I only want to write and not speak. So as the practice, it's just to look at where we feel guilty. Now, I'm going to have to stop here because it's going to be the Sabbath soon. But I want to wish you a beautiful Shabbos. Straight after Shabbos is going to be Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Kislev is Sagittarius. And may we all have the brightest Shabbos and month of Kislev. And moving from the old self and life into the newness, using the shell that was soft and then became hard and then breaks apart. And instead of orbiting around the pieces of the old self because of fear or because of previous exposure that felt like too much, and then we use the pieces as weapons, shards as a shield armor. Instead, we use it to build a new life for ourselves. Renovation, construction, and the light to permeate deep through all the cracks. And elevating our sparks, each one's portion individually. Feeling strong and healthy and mobile and fit and flexible. And to recognize the truth and have the ability to work with our knob from the highest degree to the lowest degree in a subtle way, to like practice and play with adjustment of intensity, and to watch the fruitfulness, experience the feeling of fruitfulness. Like when you bake something in an oven, not necessarily relating to it becoming what it's supposed to be after the oven is finished with it, but rather the enjoyment of the baking process, the incubation periods, and resurrection, rejuvenation, recharging, love, connection, in a sense of it not always being obvious and visible on the outside, but rather underground, like the winter, the seeds growing, and of course, besides for our physical muscles getting stronger and more supple and reliable and adaptable, also our ability to use humor and other tools on an as-needed pick-up, put-down tool, skills and resources basis, so that we can flow through situations and not get attached to the physical and the outcomes, and thereby experience an amazing, new, beyond imagination, beauty and present amazingness, like, in other words, beyond any fantasy. And really learning how to listen better, to not interrupt, to not talk too loud, and to be able to trust our arrow, to hit where it's supposed to hit, to do what we have to do, and to do our best and let God do the rest. But to really do our best, to be all in. And despite the fact that it's winter, we might feel like staying cozy and hidden away, but rather still nurturing our explorative and discovering side, our wanderer, our curious one, explorative aspect. Amen. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so. Wishing everybody a good Shabbos and a good Chodesh, which means a good month. Bye-bye.